Now that you have learned about the elements of art, it's time to put these into practice in a creative way. This is a project I look forward to every year. It's so fun and it's functional. So to build your sketchbook, you should have a front and back cover. These are covered with a material called gesso, and that primes the surface and makes it a little bit easier to paint on. You should also have just about 30 pieces of paper. Now this is art paper, and so it's high quality and we can use it for painting and for dry materials like pencil and drawing. All right, so we're gonna take our top cover, and then to get this to work on the back side, I'm gonna flip it over. And sometimes this is a little bit tricky to get started, so you may have to ask for help. But once you get it going, you're gonna see it actually goes pretty smoothly. Then I'm gonna use this black squiggly guy, and I'm gonna start to fish this through. Now, once you kind of get it moving, it's perfectly spaced, and so it will just rotate all the way through. You'll notice after you finish that twirly-whirly part that there is a little bit extra. You're gonna wanna snip that off. I find that it's easier instead of snipping with the tips of your scissors to get further down. Whoops, and that guy went flying. Okay, so now we've got Sketchbook. I think it's going to be wise if we go ahead and use a Sharpie and print our names on the inside cover of the front. And then you can also put your class code. That way we know it's yours. And then you're gonna have the option to do a number of different kinds of projects that focus on color mixing. You'll have a full class period to do the front, and if you have time, you could also do the back as well. The only thing I want you to be mindful of is that the paper's inside, so whatever you do, you're gonna want to be pretty neat and to really focus on craftsmanship so that we don't have paint in those holes or get all of our pages dirty with paint. We are ready for option 3. You may have noticed, or you will notice, that the options are getting more challenging as we go. This option focuses on the use of organic shapes, and it does require some more careful painting. And so this would be a great idea for somebody that has pretty excellent craftsmanship with painting. So this time I am going to make a grid, and inside I'm gonna be drawing organic shapes. Now you will have the choice to paint. We are ready to move on to the third option. You may have noticed that the options are getting more difficult as we progress, starting with the most simple option and now moving on to one that requires more craftsmanship when it comes to painting. So for this idea, you are going to start with a grid. And so I'm going to use my ruler and just do a 1-inch grid because that's easy. And I am going to just get as far as I can here. And then I'm going to go the opposite way as well. Now that I have a grid, and by the way, it doesn't work out perfectly using inches, but that shouldn't be a problem with our overall design. What I'm going to do is draw a simple organic shape in each one of the squares. Now, something that's important to consider, and you may have already noticed it here, is that I'm drawing pretty lightly. I intend to likely erase these pencil lines, and so I don't want to put a lot of pressure when I'm drawing those lines, or they're going to etch into the surface permanently. I realized a couple things as I was doing this. One is that I did want to have some geometric shapes. You'll see some rectangles, some triangles, some circles. It just felt like it needed it. In fact, I think I'm going to add another circle up here. I'm kind of also thinking about balancing out the shapes. The other thing I decided to do is to leave some of the squares just as a square. So the next step is to think about what you want to paint. So for this part, I'm going to look at this first square. Now, the shape that you see is the circle. I could paint the circle, or I could paint the space around the circle. That space is called the negative space, and then this would be the positive space. So I actually could do it either way. Just paint the negative space, and you would kind of see a gap there of the circle, or I could paint the circle itself. So that part is up to you. What's also up to you is the colors that you would like to use. You've clearly seen how this color wheel can be made. You could choose a color group that matched one of the color groups you see here, like, only primaries or only secondaries. Or you could emphasize maybe what's called a triad, like 3 colors, maybe the yellow green, the yellow orange, and then the blue purple. So that part is up to you. This is going to take me some time, and I might consider using a brush with flat edge so that it's a little bit easier to get those lines. So I'm going to give it a try. I think I'm at a good stopping point with this cover. I used warm colors. You can see all those different hues of yellow and orange and red. And then I wanted there to be some contrast, so I picked the complement of red, which would be green, so that there's some contrast. I still haven't decided if I want to go and have 2 colors in a box, or if I want to add some Sharpie line designs. I'll have to think on that.